In June 2014, Derek and Maria Broaddus thought they had found their dream home. The house at 657 Boulevard, nestled in the quiet, tree-lined suburb of Westfield, New Jersey, was everything they had ever wanted. A stately six-bedroom house built in 1905, with wide halls, intricate woodwork, and enough space for their growing family. It seemed perfect, until the letters started arriving. 3 days after closing the deal, but before moving in, Derek checked the mailbox and found a thick white envelope addressed simply to the new owner. Inside was a typed letter that would ignite one of the most chilling real estate nightmares in modern American history. Dearest new neighbor at 657 Boulevard, the letter began. Allow me to welcome you to the neighborhood. At first, the message seemed almost quaint, albeit a little odd. But as Derek read on, the tone grew sinister. 657 Boulevard has been the subject of my family for decades now, the letter continued. I have been put in charge of watching and waiting for its second coming. My grandfather watched the house in the 1920s, and my father watched in the 1960s. It is now my time. Do you know the history of the house? The letter then described how the house had called to the writer, and how they had been watching the Broaddus' young children. The writer even mentioned them by their nicknames and described seeing them painting in the enclosed porch. Once I know their names, I will call to them and draw them to me, the letter promised. Derek raced through the empty house, turning off lights and searching for someone, anyone, who might be lurking nearby. He called the police immediately. When an officer arrived, he read the letter and simply said, "What the hell is this?" There were no fingerprints, no clear signs of forced entry. The police advised the Broadduses to be cautious, but without any direct threat of violence, there was little they could do. A few weeks later, another letter came. Have they found what is in the walls yet? In time, they will. The Watcher, as the writer now signed themselves, seemed almost playful, but with an unmistakable undercurrent of menace. They referenced renovations the Broadduses were making to the house and scolded them for changing it and stirring up its anger. The Broadduses began to feel like prisoners trapped outside their own home. They delayed moving in, fearing for their children's safety. Derek installed elaborate security systems and cameras. They hired private detectives, reached out to former FBI agents, and even attempted to profile the Watcher, whoever they might be. No one could find anything. The police interviewed neighbors but found no solid leads. The previous owners, the Woods family, had lived there for 23 years without incident, but admitted receiving a strange letter just before moving out, a letter they had dismissed as a prank. As months passed, the Watcher's letters grew even more disturbing. One asked, "Will the young bloods play in the basement? Who has the rooms facing the street? I'll know as soon as you move in. It will help me know who is in which bedroom. Then I can plan better." The Watcher hinted at wanting to harm the children, or at least get close to them. The Broadduses, now desperate, tried to sell the house. But rumors had already started circulating. No one wanted a home with such a sinister shadow hanging over it. The financial strain was enormous. Derek and Maria had sunk their savings into the house, and now found themselves trapped. At one point, they even considered selling the house at a steep loss, or demolishing it entirely. The neighborhood, once welcoming, turned cold. Some neighbors accused the Broadduses of fabricating the story for financial gain, despite the mounting evidence. Even after filing lawsuits against the previous owners for not disclosing the letter they had received, the Broadduses' legal battles only deepened their nightmare. The Watcher was never caught. In 2019, after years of stress, litigation, and unanswered questions, The Broadduses sold 657 Boulevard for $959,000, almost $400,000 less than they had paid. The new owners have reportedly not received any letters from the watcher. Some speculate that the watcher could have been a neighbor angry about newcomers, an envious local, or even someone obsessed with the house's history. Others whisper that there was something darker about the property itself, a strange energy rooted deep in the walls, fed by decades of fear and longing. To this day, no one knows the watcher's true identity, and perhaps that's the most chilling part of all, because someone, somewhere, might still be watching. There's a small town in Maine called Harrington, nestled between thick forests and long-forgotten highways. In the winter of 2017, a true story from there sent shivers through the whole state, one that many still refuse to speak of today. It began with a woman named Claire Henson, a 28-year-old local who worked late shifts at the only diner in town. Claire was known for her punctuality. She drove the same route every night, down Route 9, past the old defunct mill, across the two-way crossroads near the abandoned gas station, and into her neighborhood. On February 3, 2017, after clocking out around 2:30 a.m., Claire texted her roommate, "Heading home. Roads are bad. Drive slow." It had been snowing heavily that night, and visibility was poor. Her roommate, Kelly, stayed up waiting for her. 30 minutes passed, nothing. An hour, still no sign of Claire. Worried, Kelly called her. The phone rang once, twice, and then clicked, but all she heard was faint static, and something else, almost like whispering. No words she could make out, just soft, broken sounds. Then the call dropped. Panicking, Kelly called the police. They searched the entire stretch of Route 9, but found nothing. No signs of a crash, no broken fences, no skid marks in the snow. Claire's car had seemingly vanished off the road into thin air. But here's where it gets chilling. 2 days later, a farmer living near the old crossroads reported something strange. His cattle had refused to approach the area near his east field. They just stood at the edge, lowing nervously. When he went to investigate, he saw tire tracks in the snow leading into the woods, where no road had ever been. They followed an unnatural, looping path, almost as if the car had spun around. But there was no exit trail, no car, no footprints. The police reopened the investigation, this time with search dogs. Deep in the woods, nearly a mile from the crossroads, they found something. Claire's scarf, snagged high in the branches of a dead tree. But there was no body, no car, nothing else. Just a silence so thick it felt alive. The town's older residents began whispering about the Crossroad Man. According to local legend, the Crossroad Man was a spirit that haunted the area for decades, a remnant from an era when travelers would go missing on the old routes. They said he could appear on foggy nights at lonely intersections, offering you a way home, but only if you agreed to give him a piece of yourself. Most people laughed off the story, but Claire's mother, heartbroken, swore her daughter had seen something once before. A few months earlier, Claire had told her about a strange encounter. While driving home late one night, she'd seen a man standing perfectly still in the center of the crossroads, despite the freezing cold. He was tall, wearing what looked like a dusty old coat, and his face, she said, seemed blurry, like trying to remember a dream you can't quite hold on to. She slowed down, wondering if he needed help, but as her headlights hit him, he simply pointed at her, and then vanished into the woods without a trace. Claire had been deeply shaken, but had brushed it off, thinking it was just fatigue playing tricks on her. The authorities kept the search alive for weeks, but eventually, Claire's case went cold. There were no clues, no leads, no answers. But it didn't end there. In May 2017, nearly 3 months after Claire's disappearance, a truck driver passing through Harrington at night reported seeing something bizarre. As he approached the infamous crossroads, his headlights picked up an old, battered sedan, sitting half on the road, half in the field. Inside was a woman, hunched over the steering wheel. He slowed down, trying to help, but as he got closer, he noticed the woman was moving strangely, like she was jerking back and forth in tiny, unnatural motions. Her hair was matted with snow and ice. He rolled down his window and called out, but the woman didn't respond. Instead, she slowly lifted her head, revealing hollow, dark pits where her eyes should have been. Terrified, he sped off and called the police. By the time they arrived, there was nothing there. No car, no woman, just tire tracks that ended abruptly in the middle of the frozen road. Some say Claire is still out there somewhere, trapped between worlds. Others believe the crossroad man took her as payment, her soul bound to the empty woods of Harrington forever. The town eventually put up a small memorial near the crossroads. A simple wooden cross with Claire's name and the words, "Gone, but not forgotten." But every year, on the anniversary of her disappearance, strange things happen at that spot. Drivers report seeing a lone figure standing by the road, arm outstretched, asking for a ride. If you dare to stop, they say, he asks you one simple question. Do you know the way home? No one who answers him is ever seen again. In the summer of 2019, 2 experienced hikers, Sarah Mitchell and Kevin Price, set out to explore Devil's Den State Park in Arkansas. It was supposed to be an easy weekend getaway, fresh air, scenic trails, and a break from the constant buzz of city life. But only one of them would return, and the mystery that unfolded still haunts investigators today. Sarah and Kevin began their hike early on a Saturday morning. They checked in at the ranger station, smiling for a photo together before heading toward the Butterfield Trail, a 15-mile loop known for its beauty and for its eerie reputation. Locals whispered about strange lights, sudden patches of silence, and the occasional hiker who never came back. But Sarah and Kevin laughed it off. About 3 hours into the hike, something strange happened. According to Sarah, they heard a low humming noise, like a deep mechanical vibration coming from the woods. Kevin, curious and adventurous, decided to investigate despite Sarah's protests. He walked off the trail, disappearing into the thick trees. Sarah waited. 10 minutes passed, then 20. She called his name, but her voice seemed swallowed by the woods. Panicked, she retraced her steps, then ran back to the ranger station. A full search was launched within the hour. Dogs, drones, volunteers, even helicopters combed the park. They found nothing. No footprints, no torn clothing, no signs of a struggle. It was as if Kevin had simply vanished. Even more chilling were the reports from other hikers that day. Several people claimed to see strange flashes of light in the forest, like a strobe, but without sound. A couple said they heard voices, whispering their names from the trees, though no one was nearby. The case grew colder with each passing month. Then, almost a year later, Kevin's backpack was discovered, neatly placed on a boulder 2 miles off trail. Inside, his phone was dead, but the camera roll contained a series of bizarre, blurry photos. The images showed distorted trees, strange misty figures, and in one, Kevin's terrified face looking over his shoulder into darkness. No body was ever found. Theories exploded online: abduction, a freak accident, even paranormal explanations involving dimensional rifts or UFOs. The park itself remained tight-lipped, warning visitors to stay on marked trails and hike with caution. Sarah never spoke publicly again after giving her statement. She moved to another state and lives under a different name now. In an interview years later, a park ranger who worked the search admitted something chilling. We heard his voice sometimes calling from the woods, but it was wrong. Like it wasn't really him. Like something was pretending. To this day, Devil's Den remains a beautiful but unsettling place. Locals still say that if you hike there alone, you might hear a voice calling your name from just beyond the trees. If you do, don't answer.